Bitcoin at 67,700 US dollars. Yay, we've pumped by $700 compared to yesterday's video. So volatility is coming back. Everything is good. We're now heading towards 100,000. No, unfortunately not. I can't really say that, but a little bit of hype at the beginning, I think, never hurt anyone. Yeah, but otherwise, first of all, welcome to a new crypto update video. I don't think today is going to be such a boring day because we have 2 or 3 pieces of news which could turn out to be important. On one hand, Trump wants to release alien files, so get ready for some aliens who might soon take over the planet. Point number 2, which in my opinion is much more important, are the PCI data being released today. Apparently there is information, who knows if it's real again, on Twitter and elsewhere saying that the numbers could turn out a bit higher. If that's the case, the whole topic of interest rate cuts would be off the table anyway. And point number 3 is that today the Supreme Court will probably decide on the tariffs. Hey, it's going to be a fun Friday. And then we also have the weekend when there might even be an attack on Iran because Trump is also toying with the idea of maybe carrying out a small strike over there so he can push through his demands somehow. So that's a quick summary for now. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on all of this. But before we get started, as always, feel free to give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. There you'll always get the latest information whenever there's something new, or if I enter any new trades, do something new, or update my portfolio, you'll find out about it there. You'll find the link for that for free below in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade all of this, you can do it all with my partner exchange WEEX. The link for that is also down below in the video description. And right now, up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses that you can claim. If you open a few things, do some trial trades or anything else, just feel free to check it out. So let's get started. So Bitcoin at $67,700. That's point number 1. You can see nothing much is really happening. Really not a big news. There really isn't any at the moment, except that, well, you have to say that here we can see it. USMS forces, as Trump says, Iran has just days for a deal. Yesterday it was still 10 days that Trump gave Iran. Apparently, it doesn't look like it's going to last that long now with all the troop movements going on over there. I think by now they've moved about 60,000 troops over there, if I'm not mistaken, and then the oil price is rising, which of course is terrible for inflation. That's something Trump doesn't want to see because inflation is the only thing that's currently helping him push anything through. If he possibly loses the elections now, then he'll have another problem. And if inflation doesn't go down, then they're going to have even bigger problems over there. And then my little game comes to mind again where I say, hey, I told you that interest rate hikes could still be coming. And for me, that's still very likely. That's why there's speculation about whether he might launch a small strike over there to push through his demands. Let's see if things work out over the weekend or if there will be even more problems. But no matter where we look, it's either the oil price or some investment bankers or hedge funds that are unfortunately struggling a bit. So things are simmering everywhere. That's all for the topic of geopolitical things that are happening up there. I tried to put it a bit nicely. Then we came up with another idea last night. Trump directs the Secretary of War and other government agencies against agencies to release government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. LOL. Where have we ended up by now? I don't know. So either they're still trying to distract from some Epstein files or, I don't know, everyone has gone crazy. That's really the best way to put it. In any case, not much has happened on the chart at the moment. You can really tell that Asia is just completely out of it right now. Whenever we see movement, it usually happens when we're in the US session. That's not necessarily what we want to see, but, well, we just can't really change it at the moment. Otherwise, if we take a quick look at high block, here's an interesting fact. Liquidity has become noticeably thinner. So we still have our big cluster down here at 55,000, but I have to say the liquidity to the upside has become much thinner and also to the downside. That means the market is preparing itself a bit, but for what exactly? As I said, today we might have the tariff decision. Honestly, I still don't know what to make of it, to tell you the truth. Whether it's positive or negative, if the tariffs are allowed or declared illegal, there will be different consequences. In the end, the charts will show us which direction it will go. And what's also important today is, on the one hand, the BPI data in Japan has come down a bit, but that's a bit secondary for now. But the PCI data that's supposed to come out, I would keep an eye on that, plus the gross domestic product, because that's also expected to rise. On the one hand, personal spending is expected to decline, while the PCA price index and the core rate are supposed to increase. And that's not really what someone like Trump or the Fed wants to see. And it also wouldn't help us at all if we take a quick look at the FedWatch tool, because that's still unchanged. That probably won't change for now either. What's become much, much more interesting is June. We took a look at that yesterday during the live stream because now it's also at parity. And if we look at it here, parity, that's not good. It was clearer before because it was in the 50 range. Now we're only at about 40. That's not something that's sustainable. And then let's take a quick look at the spot order book. There we also see only massive selling at the moment. So at the moment, there's not really a buy the dip thing going on, but rather everything that was bought in the last few days is being sold. And what surprises me a bit are these massive sales in the direction of 40 million. And that's been going on for quite a while. That personally worries me a bit as we look toward the weekend. Because at these price levels, there should actually be some accumulation, not everything being sold off again that was just bought in the last few days. So that speaks a bit to significantly more uncertainty at the moment. Of course, when everything is in the red, prices should go up. We do see that a little, but not to the extent you'd expect because, as I said, Asia just isn't present right now, and that's a big, big problem at this point. But, well, we just have to wait and see how this all plays out. Otherwise, in terms of news, there really isn't much to discuss except that retail investors continue to buy software stocks like EOMAS, and that gold is expected to reach new record highs. As I said, I just wouldn't be surprised. Let's move over to Ethereum. That market is also completely dead. Really completely dead. There's really nothing to talk about there either. Altcoins at the moment. Every building savings contract yields more returns than any altcoin right now. Just saying, a little joke on the side. Solana, same story, also completely dead. We're simply missing the Chinese markets. I didn't think it would make such a huge difference, but it's just completely missing. Because the US session pumps and then sells off again, or dumps and then pumps again. So they can just move the markets however they want. We can see it in the volume. The volume is just completely gone. Earlier, I forgot to mention it. To repost, you could also see that especially in the stock markets. So also S&P 500, etc. The volume has dropped significantly. So even from official sources. Well, we've been talking for quite some time now about the volume being gone, but it's really not ideal. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe something will happen today around 2 p.m. Or if the Supreme Court possibly makes a decision. Who knows when that decision will come? But of course, with everything heading into the weekend again, it's just really not great. That points to more volatility. Let's move over to the US dollar. It's still pumping. Keyword. Keep an eye on the carry trade for a bit longer. Japanese intervention. If we take a look at USDJPY, it's still pumping. But it's really not that bad yet because, as I said, our short is already running for the second time. For everyone who reopened it up here, then possibly, but it's running here as well. Volume is very, very weak. The dollar is rising, of course, because risk is increasing. At the same time, if we look over at the oil price, which we already mentioned, it's right at resistance. So everything is pointing these days to the fact that we're going to get some kind of decision, on the one hand, for Bitcoin, that the markets will either move downward or everything really does calm down, everything is relaxed, and everything can continue to rise. Those are simply the two options we have at the moment. Speaking of gold, gold is over $5,000. I said just yesterday that I opened a long position. It's running. Let's just let it run. I'm not in silver. The risk is too high. But now I'll show you the article again, just briefly. JP Morgan sees gold reaching $6,300 per ounce by the end of 2026. Then the question was asked whether I think that's reasonable. I say yes. It wouldn't surprise me. With all the geopolitical crap that's going on right now, whether it's the USA and Iran, the USA and I don't know, whatever other countries are involved. And right now, we also have exercises in the Strait of Hormuz, where China and Russia are also involved. So that's a huge, massive oil field. If even a small spark gets in there, it's just going to explode. And that's not good. And geopolitical uncertainty and high interest rates can't change that either because they actually need to be lowered so that things can calm down a bit here. We're not seeing that, which is why I also believe that gold could definitely reach such heights. There are other forecasts of $10,000 to $15,000, but I doubt that because in my opinion, everything would really have to capitulate for that to happen. But anyway, that's another topic. As for silver and gold, I'm definitely still bullish for now. Otherwise, if we take a quick look at the traditional markets, the DAX, it's still on the way for me. The B railway line is now a little higher, but still down for me. The Dow Jones is doing nothing. Nasdaq is doing nothing. The S&P 500 is unaffected. Volume is dead. There's no volume in it. No volume. That's crap. That sucks. We need volume in the market. Otherwise, none of this will work. And as long as that's the case, I'll remain completely bearish about it. And as long as the volatility index keeps rising as well, to such an extent, and people keep preparing for some kind of hedge positions, nothing at all will change in my approach. At the same time, if we look at the stock driver, Nvidia looks just as disastrous. If we take a look at Nvidia on the daily time frame, just briefly, we can see that the volume is simply down. The volume is gone from tech stocks. The only ones buying are retail investors. Big money is selling. Big problems. But all right, let's wait and see what happens. The PCI data, as I said, is still coming out today. Then the Supreme Court decision, and then the weekend. And then let's see what Trump does with Iran. It's going to be an exciting weekend. So in my opinion, you definitely shouldn't underestimate it. All right, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for watching. Better to stay on the sidelines than to have to jump into any trades right now. Just a little tip on the side, and otherwise, enjoy the weekend. We'll probably hear from each other again soon. I think it's about time for another XRP update. I think so. That's definitely it from me. I'm sure we'll talk again later today. Until then, ciao, and as always, stay crypto.